The chandelier above the dining table cost more than the house his son would sleep in that night. And under that chandelier, a 68-year-old billionaire was quietly telling his only child that the woman he loved was beneath him. Harold Ashford did not raise his voice. He never did. He just folded his hands on the polished walnut and said it like a contract clause. "She is beneath us, Lucas. She has a child. No name, no assets. I built this family to last. She would unbuild it." The candle flame did not even flicker. 18 rooms in that house. 6 bathrooms, a grand piano nobody played. Lucas Ashford did not yell. He picked up his napkin, folded it once, folded it twice, set it on his untouched plate. Then he said something quiet. "If she is beneath you, so am I." He stood. The chair did not even scrape. He walked past the oil paintings, past the staircase, past the housekeeper frozen in the kitchen doorway with a serving tray she would not set down for another minute. The front door clicked shut. That click was the last sound between father and son for 13 months. And in those 13 months, something happened that would break Harold Ashford in a way money could never fix. Let me be real with you for a second. This is not a story about a rich kid throwing a tantrum and running off into the sunset. That is the easy version. That is not what happened. So before we go any further, hit subscribe, drop a like. Share this with one person who has ever been called less than by somebody who never bothered to learn their name. Let's go. To understand what Lucas walked out of, we have to back up, way back. Before the chandelier, before the company, before the Ashford name was on any building in Cardinal. Harold Ashford was not born rich. He grew up in a hill town where every man either worked the mine or drove for the mine. His father drove. His mother cleaned rooms at the only motel for $8.25 an hour. She came home with her hands smelling like bleach. When Harold was 8, his parents sat him down at a kitchen table with a crack down the middle and told him they could not afford to be married anymore. Not afford to stay in love. Afford, like love was a utility bill. Harold wore the same 2 pairs of jeans through the whole 4th grade. Sat on a mattress on the floor. He swore on that mattress that money would never break a family of his. He meant it like a religion. By 31, he was the youngest partner at a property firm in Cardinal. By 42, he owned it. By 50, he had built Ashford Holdings into one of the largest commercial real estate companies on the East Coast. Forbes put his worth at $2.8 billion. Somewhere in there, he had married Margaret Bellamy, Maggie, the daughter of an old senator's family. She loved him for his hunger, not his money. She gave him a son, Lucas. For 14 years, they were the kind of family that looked too good to be true. Then Maggie got sick. Stage 3. By the time they caught it, it had already done what it came to do. Harold threw everything at it. Specialists, surgeons flown in, a medical suite built inside the home. He kept saying, "Hold on, Maggie, I am going to fix this," like cancer was a contract he could renegotiate. The whole time her family was there, every day. He believed they showed up because of the life he had given her. He believed money was the glue. He was wrong. When Maggie passed, Lucas was 14. He did not cry at the funeral. He held his father's hand so hard Harold's knuckles went white. At the graveside, Harold made his second vow. His son would marry someone from the right family. Money equaled safety. Class equaled permanence. He was wrong about that too. Okay, wait, I need to pause right here. Because what Harold did next the night his son walked out was not the cruelest part of this story. Not even close. The cruelest part had already started months earlier in a quiet office 2 miles away. And the man behind it was not Harold. The same week Lucas closed on a townhouse in Brookside, a man named Vance Caldwell was sitting in a leather chair on the 42nd floor of Ashford Tower smiling at a folder. The folder was thick. The tab read in neat letters, Tasha Carter, Risk Assessment. Vance had been the Ashford family attorney for 22 years. Tall, silver hair, charcoal suits. A handshake that had ended At least 4 engagements he never wanted to talk about in court. He opened the folder slowly. Photographs, bank statements, a divorce decree, a credit score. He picked up the phone. "Get me everything on the mother," he said. "Dorothy Mitchell, and the child, 5 years old." He hung up, leaned back, looked at the skyline. This was his 11th file like this in 15 years. The Ashford family did not know about 10 of them. Harold did not know about any of them. The man who would destroy Lucas's relationship was not his father. His father was the storm. Vance Caldwell was the architect, and he had been building this storm for 2 decades, one quiet file at a time. Now back to Lucas. He was 33, vice president of Ashford Holdings. He had a corner office on the 42nd floor and a title that made receptionists straighten up when he stepped off the elevator. The title was a costume. Every major decision still went through his father. He could close a $35 million contract. He could not approve a new coffee machine without Harold's signature. The women were the worst part, hand-picked, polished. He would sit across from them at dinners and feel absolutely nothing. He never called any of them back. His penthouse in Hunter's Ridge was 2,400 square feet of marble glass and emptiness. He had lived there 4 years. He did not know the name of a single neighbor. Real talk. Some of you watching this know exactly what that feels like. You can have everything on paper and still walk past your own door and feel nothing. That kind of empty does not come from being poor. It comes from never being seen. Some nights when the city lit up below him, Lucas would think about his mother. The last conversation, 2 weeks before she died. "Find someone who makes you laugh before you brush your teeth," she said. "Not someone who looks beautiful at a dinner party. Find the one who is still funny when she is tired and her hair is sticking up." Then she said something else. "There is an envelope in your father's desk. Bottom drawer. It has your name on it. Open it when you have lived enough to know what really matters." He had promised. He had been 14 years old. He had buried both things in the part of his brain where you bury what hurts too much to look at. The envelope sat in Harold's desk for 19 years. Lucas almost forgot about it. Almost. That envelope was going to crack this whole story open. We will get to that. On a Saturday night in his empty penthouse, Lucas pulled up a real estate listing. A house, 2 bedrooms, a neighborhood his father had never set foot in. Brookside, old oaks on the streets, porches with rocking chairs, dogs that knew each other by name. He paid cash. He did not tell anyone. 48 hours later, he had keys. The Saturday morning he moved in, he rented his own truck. He pulled into a driveway with chipped paint on the trim and a fence post that leaned left. He had never carried anything heavier than a briefcase. The first box he tried to pull off the truck nearly dropped on his foot. A voice from behind the chain-link fence said, "You planning to fight that box all day, or do you want help?" Lucas looked up. A woman was standing there, deep brown skin, hair pulled up in a bandana, faded green tank top, a 5-year-old on her hip with 2 puff ponytails and a popsicle ring around her mouth. "I think I overestimated my abilities," Lucas said. The woman laughed, loud, unfiltered. "I'm Tasha. This is Imani. She is going to ask you 900 questions. Pace yourself." The little girl planted herself in front of him, hands on her hips. "Do you have a cat?" "No." "Why not? I never thought about it." She narrowed her eyes like he had failed a test. "Everybody should have something. A cat, a dog, a bird. I'll keep that in mind." Tasha was already lifting the other end of the box. "Lift with your knees," she said. "Your back will thank you tomorrow." They moved boxes for an hour. She did not ask what he did for a living. She did not ask where he was from. She asked if he wanted water. She told him which days the trash bins went out. She warned him that Mrs. Holloway from 3 doors down was going to bring him a casserole within 48 hours. Imani followed every trip. She narrated like a sports announcer. "That box is heavy. Mommy, can you really lift that? "Mister, why are your books so big? Did you know I can read 3 words?" Lucas found himself smiling. Not the corner of the mouth smile he wore to client dinners, a real one. Then Imani tugged on his jeans. She looked up. The sun was hitting her face. She studied him. "You have sad eyes," she said, "like Mommy when she thinks I'm sleeping." Lucas froze. Tasha was a few feet behind him with a smaller box. Her face went very still for just a second, just a flicker. Then it was gone and she was laughing at her daughter again. But Lucas had seen it, and in that single flicker he understood something it would take him weeks to put into words. Tasha was not just a strong woman raising a kid alone. She was a woman holding something very heavy, and nobody had noticed. That night, in a house that was still mostly cardboard boxes, Lucas slept better than he had in 11 years. About 2 miles away on the 42nd floor of Ashford Tower, Vance Caldwell was receiving his second report on the woman next door. The folder on his desk was getting thicker. He was just getting started. Over the next few weeks, Lucas started learning who Tasha really was, just by paying attention. Every morning at 5:15, he would hear her front door click. She was a registered nurse. She worked the early shift at the East Side Community Health Center, a clinic where people walked in without insurance, sometimes with kids who had been sick for a week. By 6:45, a beige Toyota pulled into her driveway. Dorothy, Tasha's mother, 63, reading glasses pushed up on her head. Dorothy came every morning to get Imani off to kindergarten. Tasha got home around 4:30. No matter how exhausted, the first thing she did was find her daughter. One Sunday evening, Tasha came over to the fence with 2 glasses of iced tea. "You are drowning that soil," she said, about his sad little garden. "I am hopeful." She laughed. Then she said it the way a person reports the weather. Imani's father left when she was 3, packed a duffel bag on a Tuesday, said he needed to figure himself out. He has not figured out how to dial a phone since. No bitterness, just fact. "Does he help out?" Lucas asked. "No, no child support, no birthday cards, nothing. I stopped expecting it a long time ago. Expecting things from people who already left you is just standing in your own way." Tasha made $48,500 a year. Good money on a brochure. In Cardinal, with rent eating almost half of it, plus student loans, plus daycare, when Dorothy could not be there, it did not stretch the way people thought. And here is something you should know. In this country, there are close to 11 million single-mother households. Black women on average earn about 68 cents for every dollar a white man earns in the same role. Daycare in a mid-size American city now runs over $1,150 a month. When somebody tells you single mothers are struggling, do not imagine bad choices. Imagine a wall built to keep them from running. And then imagine those women running anyway. Tasha was one of them, which is a good time to talk about Mr. Eugene Powell. Eugene was 72, retired from the Postal Service after 41 years. He lived in the little blue house on the left of Tasha's, the same house he had moved into in 1978 with his wife Pearl. Pearl had passed 4 years ago. She had worked her whole career as a paralegal at a small firm downtown. Eugene came outside about 30 seconds after Lucas's first attempt at home repair went sideways. 2 weeks after Lucas moved in the bottom step of Tasha's porch, finally gave up. Dorothy nearly twisted her ankle one morning. Lucas saw it from his kitchen window. By the time Dorothy had limped inside, he was at Tasha's gate. "I can fix that for you," he said. Tasha looked at him, then at the step, then back. "Have you ever fixed a step before?" "No, but how hard can it be?" "Famous last words, neighbor." She lent him her toolbox. Most organized toolbox he had ever seen. Lucas spent 2 hours on that step. Measured wrong twice, hit his thumb with the hammer so hard he saw stars. The final result was functional sort of, but looked like it had been installed during a small earthquake. Imani came out, hands on her hips, and inspected. "My mom could do this better, and she is a nurse." Tasha laughed so hard she had to sit on the porch. That was when Eugene came out of his front door holding a tape measure. "Young man," he said, "that hammer is not your enemy." Lucas wiped his forehead. "I am starting to feel like it might be." Eugene took the hammer, tested the weight, looked at the step. "You measured this twice and cut it once. I measured it 3 times and cut it 4. Eugene almost smiled. He spent the next hour teaching Lucas how to read the wood, how to set the nail before you swing. He talked about Pearl the whole time, how she used to bring him sweet tea on Saturdays when he was building something. When they were done, the step was straight, level, strong enough to bounce on. Imani gave Eugene a serious thumbs up. Eugene started coming for coffee on Saturday mornings after that. 8 a.m. sharp. They would sit on the back porch. One morning, Eugene said, "You look at that house next door like a man either fixing to run or fixing to stay. I am only going to ask you one thing. Are you here to hide, or are you here to live?" Lucas could not answer. Eugene nodded. "The day you can answer that, your real life starts." Then he sipped his coffee and changed the subject. "Tuck that conversation about Pearl away. Trust me." A week later, something happened that Lucas was not ready for. 11:38 p.m. on a Wednesday. He was reading on his couch. His phone lit up. Tasha's name. He answered before the second ring. Her voice was tight. "Imani has a fever, 104.1. It is not coming down. I need to get her to the hospital and my car will not start." He was at her door in 90 seconds. He did not put on shoes. Tasha was holding Imani wrapped in a blanket. The little girl's face was flushed. Her eyes were glassy. Her body limp against her mother's chest. She looked smaller than 5. "Get in," Lucas said. He drove to Cardinal Children's Medical Center. Fast, careful. Tasha rocked her daughter in the back seat. A nurse took Imani back at 1:12 a.m. Tasha went with her. Lucas stayed in the waiting room. Plastic chairs, antiseptic, and old coffee. He sat there for 40 minutes. He kept thinking he should call somebody, then realizing there was nobody to call. His father did not know where he lived. His mother had been gone for 19 years. He had built a $35 million deal once. He could not produce one phone number that would matter at 1 a.m. on a Wednesday. That was when it hit him. He was not just lonely. He had been completely alone for almost 2 decades, and he had not even noticed. His chin trembled just slightly. He pressed his lips together, looked up at the fluorescent light until it stopped. Tasha came back out at 2:08 a.m. Imani was groggy but stable, fever coming down. Tasha sat down next to him. She did not say anything. She leaned her head against his shoulder. Imani fell asleep in his arms. Her small fingers had a grip on the collar of his shirt that did not loosen for an hour. Lucas finally stopped lying to himself. He was in love with this woman, completely. The kind of love that does not announce itself. The kind that shows up one Tuesday and rearranges your whole life without asking permission. Real talk. There are moments in your life where everything that mattered before stops mattering. One fluorescent waiting room can do it. One small hand on your shirt collar. If you have ever had a night like that, you know exactly what I mean. The next morning, Imani woke up demanding pancakes, which her doctor said was the best sign possible. Lucas drove them home. He stood in the hallway outside Imani's bedroom, and Tasha looked at him for a long second. "Thank you," she said. 2 words, loaded. He nodded, did not trust himself to say more. That Saturday, Tasha came over with her laptop and a folder of papers. "You and I are doing something today." He raised an eyebrow. "You do not have a budget. I asked you Tuesday how much you spend on groceries, and you said you did not know. That is not a vibe. That is a problem. I was a vice president," he said. "You were, so somebody else managed for you. Let me see your bank statements." He hesitated, because he knew this was the moment. He could have told her about the name on the buildings downtown, about Harold, about everything. He did not. He was scared. He had been seen for the first time in his life. He was not ready to put that gift down. He told himself he would tell her soon. Soon turned into one of the most dangerous words in this whole story. She pulled up a spreadsheet, color-coded, income here, fixed expenses here, variable expenses here, and this column, this is the most important one, pay yourself first, before rent, before bills. You take a small piece and put it somewhere you will not touch. $50, $20, whatever you can, it builds, it is your floor. Life does not wait for you to be ready before it throws something at you. Lucas had managed a $35 million contract. He had never paid his own utility bill. He had never compared the price of 2 cartons of milk. I feel stupid, he said. You are not stupid. You just never had to learn this. Now you are learning. That is brave. She built him his own spreadsheet that afternoon. They sat at his kitchen table for 3 hours. Imani fell asleep on his couch halfway through with her bunny under her chin. At one point he said, "How do you do all of this? Work full-time, razor, manage every dollar." She closed the laptop, "Because nobody else is going to do it for me." Then she added, "Money does not teach you how to live. Living teaches you that." Pause, right there. That is the line. If you are watching this because you are tired and you do not know why, write that down. Money does not teach you how to live. Living teaches you that. His father had taught him how to build a company. Tasha was teaching him how to build a life. He did not know yet which one would matter more. He was about to find out the hard way. Because the same week Tasha was teaching him to budget, Vance Caldwell was finishing the second draft of his report, and he was about to drop it on Harold's desk. The storm was already inside the house. Lucas just could not see it yet. It was a Thursday, 2:15 in the afternoon. Tasha was on her lunch break eating a sandwich at her kitchen table when a black sedan pulled up. Not a normal car for the block. So clean, it looked polished on the way over. A tall man stepped out. Silver hair, charcoal suit. He walked up her path the way a doctor walks into a hospital room. He knocked. 3 even taps. Tasha opened the door, sandwich in her hand. "Miss Carter, my name is Vance Caldwell. I represent a private family in Cardinal. May I have 10 minutes? It would be in your best interest." "I have 12 minutes left of my lunch break," she said. "Make it good." She let him in. She did not ask him to sit. He sat anyway. Same kitchen chair Lucas had sat on 3 days ago. He opened his briefcase, set down a manila envelope, slid it across. That envelope contains a check for $75,000. There are conditions. You will not contact Lucas Ashford again. You will relocate out of Cardinal within 30 days. You will sign a confidentiality agreement. Complete those terms, an additional $75,000 becomes available. $150,000 total. It is a generous offer. Tasha did not touch the envelope. She did not even look at it. "You are aware," she said, "that I work with people every day who have a lot less than $75,000 and a lot more dignity than what just came out of your mouth." Vance did not flinch. "Miss Carter, I am offering you and your daughter real security. Not the pretend kind a man with no income can give you. Think about the child." The child. He could not even use Imani's name. He had a folder on her daughter and could not bother with her name. Tasha stood up. "You assume I would have already chosen security if security was what I needed. You are wrong." She picked up the envelope, walked it back, set it down in front of him. "I cannot be bought. I am not for sale. The man who sent you here is going to find that out the same way you are about to. Anyone in my position would have made the same offer. I am protecting a family's interests." He stood, took the envelope, placed his business card and his card on her table, embossed letters, gold edges. "In case you reconsider." He let himself out. Tasha stood at her table for almost a full minute. She did not move. She did not pick up her phone. She did not call Lucas. She finished her sandwich, washed the plate, went back to work. She did not say a word about it, not to her mother, not to anyone, because she needed to see what Lucas would choose when nobody was offering him an exit ramp. Real talk. Bro, if that was me, I do not know if I could have stayed that quiet. She walked that man out, finished her lunch, clocked back in by 3 p.m. The pure backbone of that. That is what made her dangerous to people like Vance Caldwell. She would remember the smell of his cologne, cedar and something sour underneath. She would remember the way he said, "the child." His card sat on her table like a small white wound for 3 days before she finally moved it. 3 days later, Harold Ashford summoned his son to the top floor of Ashford Tower. His father did not stand when Lucas walked in. "Sit down, I'll stand." "Fine, then I will be direct. I know about the house, the neighborhood, the woman. Her name is Tasha. I know her name, her income, her credit score. I know about the child. You know nothing about her. I know risk when I see it. This woman has no assets, no safety net. She brings nothing to the table. She brings everything you cannot buy, Dad. She brings honesty. She brings a 5-year-old who asked me if I was sad because nobody in my entire life had ever bothered to notice. If you stay on this path, you are out. Of the company, the trust, every door this name has ever opened. Do you understand what you are giving up?" "I understand exactly what I am giving up." The room was silent, 42 stories up. The city did not care. Lucas reached into his jacket, pulled out his company ID badge, set it on the desk, did not push it, just placed it. Then he turned and walked out. "You walk out, you do not come back," Harold called. Lucas did not turn around. The door clicked shut. Same sound as the front door. Same finality. The consequences came faster than Lucas expected. By Monday, his corporate cards were declined. By Wednesday, the trust was frozen. By Friday, his key card no longer worked. 33 years of being an Ashford, erased in 5 business days. $215,000 in personal savings. No income. Maybe 18 months of runway. He sent his resume to 12 firms. 3 responded. All 3 said the same thing. "We are not in a position to move forward." Translation: we are not making an enemy of Harold Ashford for the privilege of hiring his son. Some nights he sat on his back porch at 1 in the morning thinking, I could call him. One phone call, that was the almost quit moment. A Tuesday, 1:47 a.m., he had his phone in his hand, his father's contact pulled up, his thumb hovering. He sat there for almost 20 minutes. He did not call. He went inside. He went to bed. In the morning, he made eggs. They were edible. He counted that as a win. A week later, he walked into a small firm called Foundry Construction. The owner was Renee Brooks, 50s, sharp eyes. "You ever swing a hammer?" "Once." "How did it go?" "I broke a step and hit my thumb." She looked up, studied him. "I do not care what your last name is. I care if you can show up at 6 a.m. and not whine. 58,000. Tell me if that is below you. It is not below me. You start Monday." His Mercedes was gone within the week. Traded, walked out with a Toyota Camry, $11,500. 2 weeks later, on a Sunday afternoon, Tasha came to his door. She did not say hi. She walked into his kitchen, sat down, set the manila envelope on his table, set Vance Caldwell's business card on top. Lucas froze. "A man came to my house 3 weeks ago. He offered me $75,000 to leave town." Lucas felt his whole body go cold. "Why did you not tell me?" "Because I needed to see something first. Whether you would stay because you wanted to stay, or only because nobody offered you a deal to leave." Lucas could not speak. "I did not take the money. I did not even open the envelope, but he left this." She pointed at the card, and then she said, "You did not tell me who you are." Lucas closed his eyes. "I was going to. When I was going to. When I was scared. I have spent my whole life being looked at like a balance sheet. You were the first person who looked at me like a person. I did not want to lose that. I told myself I would tell you soon. Soon kept being later. I am sorry." She was quiet for a long time. "You let me teach you how to budget, while you used to manage $35 million contracts. I never wanted you to feel sorry for me. That is not the point. The point is, I do not know what was real anymore. All of it was real. You walked away from money. I never had it to walk away from. You can always go back. I cannot go anywhere I have not earned. I am not going back. This is real. How do I know that? She did not yell. She did not cry. She stood up, picked up the envelope and the card, took her keys. I need some time. Tasha, please, I need some time. She walked out, same way she had walked Vance Caldwell out of her kitchen. Lucas sat at that table for a long time. He did not cry. He just got very, very still. 3 days later, Dorothy showed up with groceries and tea. She had been waiting for the phone call. Tasha told her everything. The envelope, the lie, the man on the front of business magazines. Dorothy listened, did not interrupt. Then she set down her teacup. Baby, I am not going to tell you what to do, but I want you to consider something. Reggie left because he did not want to stay. That man across the fence walked away from $2.8 billion because he did want to stay. Those are not the same kind of man. Tasha pressed her lips together. I am not saying forgive him today. I am saying think about why he lied. Did he lie to hurt you? Did he lie to get something from you? Or did he lie because he was scared that the only person who had ever seen him was about to look at him like everybody else? Tasha did not answer. A man who builds a life with you is worth more than a man who builds a life around you. Your daddy was not rich, baby. He was present. Presence beats provision every time. But do not forgive him because you are afraid to be alone. Forgive him only when he deserves it. Deserve takes a while. She kissed her daughter's head and left the tea on the table. While Tasha was deciding what to do with her heart, Lucas was doing something nobody expected. He went looking for an envelope. In his father's desk, he had remembered it, sitting at his kitchen table after Tasha walked out. He had remembered his mother's voice. Bottom drawer. He waited until a Saturday when Harold would be at a board dinner. He drove to the house in Hunter's Ridge. Mrs. Rivera, the housekeeper, let him in. She did not say a word. She just squeezed his shoulder. He opened the bottom drawer. Underneath a stack of property reports was a small envelope, yellowed. His name in his mother's handwriting. He sat in his father's leather chair, held it for a long time, then opened it. The letter was 3 pages in pencil. Her handwriting had gotten shaky by the end. My Lucas, if you are reading this, you have lived enough to understand it. I am going to tell you the hard part first. Vance Caldwell has been managing private funds for your father since before you were born, making quiet decisions for our family nobody asked him to make, including checks written to people we never met. I never had proof. I had a feeling. 10 years of small things that did not add up. Pearl from Cardinal Street Legal Associates used to do work for him in the late 90s. She told me once she had concerns. She would not say more. She was a very careful woman. If you ever need to look at the books Lucas do not go to, Vance, find Pearl. Her husband is Eugene. He works for the post office. They live in Brookside. Lucas, your father loved me with everything he had, but he confused providing for me with knowing me. Do not make his mistake. Find someone who knows you, and let her know you, all of you. I love you. I am always with you. Even now, Mama. Lucas read it twice. He did not cry. He closed the letter, folded it, put it in his shirt pocket. He sat in that chair while the grandfather clock ticked through 27 minutes of silence. Pearl, Eugene's wife, the man teaching him to swing a hammer on Saturday mornings. His mother had reached forward across 19 years and put a man on his doorstep before he ever knew he needed one. That foreshadowing about Eugene and Pearl, there it is. Some of you caught it the first time. The rest of you, welcome to the moment everything starts making sense. Lucas drove home and knocked on Eugene's door at almost 10:30 p.m. Eugene opened in slippers and a flannel robe. He took one look at Lucas's face and stepped aside. Get in here, son. Coffee's on. They sat at Eugene's kitchen table. Lucas put the letter down. Eugene read it slowly. When he got to Pearl's name, his eyes got wet just for a second. He blinked it away. The kind of man who had not cried in front of anyone in years. She talked about your mother sometimes. She said Maggie was the kindest client she had ever worked with. Pearl never trusted Vance Caldwell. She used to say his handshake was warm, but his eyes were cold. You bring me those books, son. We will sit at this table. We will read every page. For 4 nights they sat at that table, sometimes till 3 in the morning. Eugene read like a man who had spent 40 years sorting mail. Patient, systematic, 15 years of payments to a shell company called Caldwell Strategic Consulting LLC. 11 separate transactions labeled vendor screening, each one within 30 days of a public engagement announcement in the Ashford family or one of 4 other wealthy families Vance also represented. 11 women, including Renata Davies 10 years ago, including the $75,000 for Tasha 6 weeks ago. Buried deeper, Eugene found something else. Quiet little transfers. A couple $100,000 here, $500,000 there. By night 4, the total was over $14 million. All signed off by Harold. None actually approved by him. The signatures had been generated digitally for years. Eugene leaned back. Son, you are not just going to expose a man, you are going to expose a system. I know. Are you ready for that? I am ready. Eugene nodded. Pearl would be proud of you. Lucas had to look away. There was one more piece. Pat Whitfield, Harold's executive assistant of 14 years. Lucas had finally asked her the right question. She had been waiting 14 years for someone to ask it. She brought every email Vance had sent her, ordering her to bury positive reports on a USB drive. The trap was built. The Cardinal Eastside Community Health Center holds an annual benefit gala. The mayor goes. The Ashford Foundation has been the lead sponsor for almost a decade. That year, Tasha had been informed 3 weeks earlier she was being honored as Community Health Worker of the Year. She almost did not go. She and Lucas had not spoken in 11 days. Imani kept asking when Lucas was coming over, and Tasha kept saying soon. Dorothy made her go. You earned this, baby. Walk in with your head up. Tasha wore a midnight blue dress. She had forgotten her earrings on the bathroom counter. She did not care. She walked into that ballroom alone. What she did not know was that Lucas was already inside. Eugene was with him. So was a forensic accountant who had spent 3 months going through every file. So was Pat. That night in the ballroom of the Cardinal Hotel, the storm finally landed. Put your phone down for a minute. Because what is coming is exactly what every story like this needs, but almost never gets. This is the part where the quiet people get the microphone. The dinner had been served. The mayor had spoken. Tasha had received her award and a small standing ovation. She had not made eye contact with the Ashford table. Harold Ashford sat at table 1. Vance Caldwell was next to him smiling. The dessert plates were being set down. Then Lucas stood up. He had not been on the program. Renee had given him 3 minutes. He walked to the podium in his only black suit and the work boots he had not bothered to change. The room went quiet fast. Harold turned, saw his son, did not move. Vance saw Lucas too. His smile did not move. His shoulders did. Just slightly. Lucas pulled a stack of papers from his jacket and set them on the podium. I am Lucas Ashford. Most of you know my last name. Most of you do not know me. That is fair. I have not really been around. A polite small laugh. I came up here because of a woman I owe a great deal to. Her name is Tasha Carter. She is sitting at table 14. She does not know I am going to say what I am about to say. He looked at her. She did not look away. But there is something the Ashford family has owed her for 6 weeks. And there is something this family has owed a lot of other people for a lot longer. He picked up the top sheet. This is a receipt dated 6 weeks ago from Caldwell Strategic Consulting LLC for a vendor screening service. Amount $75,000. That money was used to attempt to pay Tasha Carter to leave Cardinal and never speak to me again. A murmur spreading. This is the same kind of receipt 10 years ago for $40,000. That money was used to attempt to pay a woman named Renata Davies to break off her engagement to my cousin Owen. The murmur got louder. In this folder are 9 more identical receipts, spanning 15 years, each one connected to a woman engaged to a member of my family or one of 4 other client families also represented by the same attorney. The signature on these is my father's. My father did not sign them. The signatures are digital reproductions generated from a master file held by Mr. Vance Caldwell. Harold went very still. Vance smiled wider, the way a man smiles when he is calculating an exit. That is layer 1. Pat, if you would. Pat Whitfield stood up, walked to the podium, pulled out her phone, tapped twice, speakerphone on. The line picked up after 1 ring. This is Margaret Ellis, Ellis Forensic Accounting. I have been auditing the Ashford Holdings personal accounts under independent contract for 97 days. The ballroom was silent. I can confirm the documentation Mr. Ashford just referenced. I can also confirm that an additional $14.3 million in unrelated transfers have been routed from Ashford Trust accounts through Caldwell Strategic Consulting, LLC, into accounts controlled by Vance Caldwell personally. Spanning 15 years, none were authorized in writing. All signatures are digitally reproduced. The report has been filed with the State Attorney General's office this morning. The room exploded, chairs scraping. Someone gasped audibly. That is layer 2. Vance Caldwell stood up, started gathering his things. Calmly, like a man heading to the bathroom, Pat killed the call, looked at Vance, did not say a word. Lucas turned to his father. Dad, I would like to give you the floor if you want it. Harold did not move for a long second. Then he stood, slowly, buttoned his jacket. He walked alone to the podium. He did not look at Vance. He took the microphone. For the past 13 months, my son and I have not spoken. He walked away from this family because I told him a woman he loved was beneath him. I used the word beneath. I used it because I thought I knew what was best for him. He paused. I did not know anything. The room did not breathe. For 15 years, I signed off on numbers I did not read. I trusted a man because he wore the right suit. I trusted him with my private affairs. He used that trust to decide whose love was acceptable in my family and whose was not. He used it to take money I never gave him permission to take. The worst part is I let him. Because being ignorant was easier than admitting I might have been wrong about a lot of things. He looked at Tasha. Miss Carter, I owe you an apology that you have no obligation to accept. I judged you on paper without ever speaking your name in my home in a kind voice. I do not deserve your forgiveness. I am not asking for it. I am only telling you in front of these people that I was wrong. About you, about your daughter, about a lot of things. He set the microphone down, stepped back. That is layer 3. In real life, men like Harold Ashford rarely get to that microphone. They stay sitting. So when one of them stands up, even when it costs them everything, you have to notice. It tells us something about how change actually happens. Sometimes from the kid who walked out of a dining room with nothing to lose. After Harold sat down, 3 people stood up, one after the other. The first was Renata Davies, 35. She taught 2nd grade in another city. She had driven 6 hours. Pat had called her 2 weeks earlier. My name is Renata Davies. 10 years ago, I was engaged to Owen Ashford. I loved him very much. Her voice cracked. She breathed. A man named Vance Caldwell came to my apartment with a check for $40,000 and a list of things he said he would tell my school district about me if I did not break the engagement. The things were not true. I was 25. I did not have the strength to fight. I broke up with Owen. I never told him why. She turned and looked at Vance. I am not here to ask for the $40,000 back. I am here so I can stop carrying it. She walked off and sat down. The second was Terrence Bishop, 46, navy suit. He carried a folder. He looked tired in the specific way of a man who had been tired about one thing for 6 years. My name is Terrence Bishop. From 2016 to 2020, I was a senior accountant at Ashford Holdings. In 2020, I flagged 7 discrepancies in vendor payments tied to a particular consulting LLC. I emailed my concerns to Vance Caldwell. 2 months later, I was terminated for what HR called performance concerns. There were none. I signed a 5-year non-disclosure agreement. It expired 41 days ago. He opened the folder. I have my original emails. My termination letter. I am giving copies to the State Attorney General. I have nothing else to say. He set the folder down, walked off. The third was Mrs. Cordelia Avery, 71, silver bun. She walked with a small cane she did not really need. The wife of Wendell Avery Harold's first business partner, dead 8 years now. She did not need the microphone. Her voice carried. I will not be long. My husband loved Harold Ashford like a younger brother. When Wendell passed, his share of our joint holdings was valued by Mr. Caldwell. I always felt the number was too small. I never had the proof. I let it go. She turned to Harold. Harold, I did not come here for money. I came so you would know what your friend felt about you. He loved you. He never knew what was being done with our affairs after he was gone. Wendell would have wanted you to know. She walked back to her seat. 3 witnesses, 3 completely different ways to carry the same wound. One who cried, one who handed over paper, one who came in peace. That was the part where the ballroom understood what they had watched. Not just a billionaire being humbled, a whole system getting peeled open. Vance Caldwell did not stay for the closing. He walked out, already calling his own lawyer. He never apologized. When asked on the record whether he regretted anything, he said, I was protecting standards. Anyone in my position would have done the same. Saying it did not save him. A jury convicted him on 12 counts, 8 years, federal. The Ashford Foundation paid back every dollar to every woman on Renata's list. Terrence Bishop was reinstated with full back pay. Mrs. Avery received a settlement reflecting the actual value of Wendell's share. After the ballroom emptied, Tasha and Lucas stood face to face in the hotel lobby. She did not run to him. He did not run to her. You did all of that without telling me. I did not want you to feel obligated to forgive me because I did something big. You should have told me. I should have told you a lot of things sooner. A long pause. Are you done lying? I am done. About all of it, forever. She did not say I forgive you. She took his hand, held it for a second, let it go. I need some time still, but I am not leaving. He nodded. That was enough for that night. The next morning, Harold Ashford did something he had not done in 30 years. He drove himself somewhere. He drove to Brookside. He parked at the curb. He stood on the sidewalk for a long time before walking up. He knocked. Tasha opened the door. She did not say anything. She stood with her arms crossed. Miss Carter, I will say what I have to say from here. You do not have to invite me in. She nodded once. I came to give you 2 things. He reached into a small canvas bag. The first was a faded photograph. A young woman in a beige suit on courthouse steps, smiling, holding file folders. That is Pearl Powell. She worked for my wife's family in the late 90s. My wife considered her one of the kindest people she ever met. I am told her husband lives next door to you. I would like if Eugene is willing to thank him in person someday. He set the photograph on her porch railing. The second thing was an envelope. Tasha tensed. This is not money. I will never send another envelope of money to your house. I swear that to you. He took out a single piece of paper. This is the founding charter of a community fund, administered by a board I do not sit on. Renee Brooks, Renata Davies, and whomever you nominate if you choose. The fund pays student loans, daycare, emergency car repairs for healthcare workers in this city earning under $70,000 a year. The first year is funded at $3 million. Tasha stared at the paper. Why are you telling me this? Because everything I have built has been about keeping my family safe. I built it wrong. I confused safe with separate. I confused worth with paperwork. This is the start of what I can pay back. She did not respond for a long moment. Then Imani appeared at her side, looked up at Harold, tilted her head. Are you Lucas's daddy? Yes, I am. You have sad eyes too. He bent down a little. I am trying to fix that. It might take me a while. Tasha watched both of them. Then she opened the door wider. You can come in for 10 minutes. Harold stepped inside. He took off his shoes at the door. He left them next to his son's work boots. Real talk. There is something specific about a billionaire taking his shoes off at the door of a townhouse in Brookside. It does not look like much, but it is the whole story. 2 pairs of shoes on a mat. One used to live in a $14,000 closet. Now they sit next to a 5-year-old's light-up sneakers and a pair of construction boots with a hole in the toe. That is what change actually looks like. Quiet, small, at the doormat. 1 year later. The wedding was in the backyard. String lights between the fence posts. Folding chairs from the community center. 38 people. Tasha wore a cream dress, $120, from a consignment shop. She wore the earrings she had forgotten the night of the gala, which Lucas had found on her bathroom counter and quietly brought back to her in a small ring box just to make her laugh. Imani was the flower girl. She walked the garden path, dropping petals with the focus of a tiny surgeon. When she got to the front, she leaned over and whispered to Lucas in the loudest stage whisper. I did not drop a single one. The whole yard laughed. Lucas's vows were short. You taught me how to stay. I will keep practicing every day. Tasha's were shorter. You showed up. That is the whole thing. Harold stood in the second row, eyes red before the ceremony started. Eugene Powell read a short poem he had written himself about how a house is not where you live. A house is who lives there with you. He paused before the last line, pressed his lips together, finished. Reception was potato salad and grilled chicken and a chocolate cake Dorothy had been working on since 6 a.m. Renata Davies came. Terrence Bishop brought his wife and 3 kids. Mrs. Cordelia Avery sent a card with $200 and a note that said Wendell would have been there. Lucas had built something in that year too, a small company called Cornerstone Homes. They built modest houses on lots nobody else wanted, sold them at fair prices to families other developers had ignored. Eugene was a community advisor. Harold invested. He told the local paper it was the first investment he had ever made with his heart instead of his calculator. The Ashford Health Worker Fund was paying off the student loans of 41 nurses in Cardinal. 3 months after the wedding, Imani started learning chess. Harold taught her. He brought a small wooden set to a Sunday dinner and asked her if she wanted to learn. She said yes, only because he promised popsicles. 6 months later, she beat him. She climbed on her chair, threw both fists in the air, and announced, "Checkmate, Mr. Harold." Harold leaned back and laughed, the kind of laugh that came from somewhere very deep, the kind he had not done in maybe 40 years. He laughed until tears came out, and then he kept laughing. Imani crossed her arms. You owe me popsicles. 3, the blue kind. He nodded solemnly. 3 blue ones. Tasha and Lucas watched from the doorway. On the kitchen wall, taped at the height of a 5-year-old, was Imani's first drawing of the 4 of them. Stick figures, a tall one, a slightly smaller tall one, a medium one, a tiny one. Harold had asked to have it. Tasha had said no. He could come visit it. He visited it every Sunday. He did not miss one for the next 8 years. Now hold on, before I say goodnight. A single mother is not a discount version of a family. She is the whole family. The roof, the rent, the lunches, the notes inside the lunches, the sick nights, the proud nights. She is doing it every day. And the people who try to put a price tag on her, are usually trying to avoid being looked at themselves. Tasha Carter was never beneath anybody. The people who said she was were people who had never been seen by anyone for the right reasons. If somebody told you that you are not enough because of your bank account, your last name, the color of your skin, or the family you came from, hear me, they are missing something. You are not. If this story moved you, share it with one person tonight. Sometimes the right message at the right hour is the whole reason a person keeps going. Subscribe if you want to keep meeting people like Tasha and Eugene with me. One last thing, this story is fiction. Cardinal is not a real city. Any resemblance to a real person is a coincidence, but the feeling is not fiction. If somebody told you that you do not belong at their table, build your own table. Then invite them over when they are ready to learn how to sit at it. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. I will see you in the next one.